college football betting. And now your hosts, Marcus and Mason. What's going on, college football fans? Welcome back to the First and Long College Football Show. We're so happy you're here with us this evening. It is Thursday night, and that means it's time for Between the Lines, our weekly best bets in college football betting. It's spray the board. Any game is fair game. We're looking for our best bets from all across the nation. Starting, I guess we got games tonight. I guess this is the first Thursday night. I think that we've got some football games, and then, well, not the first Thursday night, but I think they're consistently going to be on Thursday nights from here on out. And then Friday we've got games. So it's all the games from the whole weekend, week 6 slate. Mason, how are you? You got some best bets for us tonight?
Man, I sure hope so. I need some best bets. I need some winners here. I feel like Danny Cannell. Like I just can't catch a freaking break, man. Last week, it was a vacation week for me, so I kind of had to send my bets in a little bit early. And I didn't fare well. I was 1-5 last week on my bet, so another negative week for me. That puts me at 17, 27, and 1 on the year. So I'm 10 units down. And then on the money line, I'm down 1.7 units. So I feel like you're carrying the water for us here, Mark, and I'm hoping I can return the favor in some of these weeks.
Well, all it takes is one good week, Mason. It's like going and playing golf. You pay that $75 to play that really nice course, and you go out there and you look like a complete idiot, but you hit one or two good shots and you say, that was my day right there. That good shot. That's what I'm going to remember. And
The
so
difference
you
is
just got to have
when
a shooter's mentality, man. I guess a
yeah
golfer's mentality too. Forget about it.
the
Forget about it.
the
Spray the
difference
board.
there
Go
is
for it.
whenever we go play golf, I play scramble golf because I suck at golf, and you can actually hit the ball straight. I don't have any way to carry to pick the ball up and just go play your hand, and when it comes to bets, I'm all out in the open. So, but no, I'm getting it, and I think last year this was actually the same period where I hit a pretty big run of weeks in a row of going negative. This is 4 weeks in a row now for me of being negative. But then I kind of turned it around, so I'm hoping the same trend will continue here. I think I've got an idea of what these teams are doing now, and I've kind of reassessed my strategy. So let's get into it, man. Where you want to start?
Well, we always tend to. Oh, and I did not say my record. So last week I was 4-4, and I did not win my money line pick last week. That was the first time in a few weeks that I had not hit my money line sprinkle at the end of the show. So I'm 2 out of 3 out of my last 3 weeks here on the money line. So I'm going to try to bring that luck back. But my overall record right now for the season is 22, 21, and 1. So I had a couple of weeks that were negative in a row. I got back to 500 last week, and I started off really hot and kind of gave a few back there. And I feel a little bit better about this week. I don't have a ton of picks. I've got a couple of them I got my eye on, and as we go here, I may add a little something to it. And I've got a first half pick as well. So what we always do though is we go to the big games first and see if we got any picks for these big games, and we'll discuss those before we get going here. Let's go through the big ones. Mizzou at Texas A&M. Do you have any picks for that game, Mason?
I do not. This is such a close game to me. Um, I feel like Missouri should be favored in this matchup, and the fact that Vegas has Texas A&M favored makes me worry a lot about this game. I'm not confident in the over and under. I think that these lines are just too narrow. The game really could go either way. We've seen Missouri struggle in some games to get their offense going. I think that these are two really good defenses, and when you look at Texas A&M on the offensive side, they're kind of trending upward with Marcel Reed at quarterback. So there are just too many variables, too many unknowns in these two programs that I think it's a stay away game for me.
I get it. I got a few of those games that I feel that way about this week. But look, Texas A&M's defense has played pretty well for the most part this season. Um, statistically, it hasn't been like set the world on fire as far as just pass yards per game or rush yards per game allowed, things like that. Um, but they've been very very disruptive, and they're going against Missouri, who's been really good at preventing all that disruption this season. Haven't given up a ton of sacks, but have had issues getting into the end zone themselves. Um, but that's not going to stop me, Mason, because I agree with you 100%. The wrong team's favored here, in my opinion. And I'm going to stick with my gut. It's been my gut all week. It was the first thing that we said whenever we saw this line earlier this week. Um, why is Mizzou not favored here? And I had Texas A&M fans. Thank y'all so much for watching this week. Y'all been great, and I've commented back with some of you. But there's always some fans out there that are a little crazy. That's why they call them fans, right? They're fanatics. But they told me, said, you haven't been paying attention to what's been going on. You don't just go in and win at Texas A&M. And I sat and thought to myself, I said, well, I think we just saw somebody go in and win at Texas A&M earlier this season. How about the first game of the year, Notre Dame, with no offense whatsoever? And Mizzou is not that team. While they've had some struggles here and there as far as getting into the end zone, they're not just a push me over offense. Statistically they're very good. Something is just needing to be fine tuned in this Lamborghini, and I think that Coach Drink is going to figure it out this week and is going to get more out of this offense, and I think they're going to be able to get into the end zone. So give me Mizzou. Last time Mizzou played at Kyle Field, they won, and they won by more than a touchdown. So I'm gonna pick up where they left off last time they visited there, and I'm gonna take Mizzou plus the points there. All right, let's go through some of these other big games here. Let's see, Ole Miss at South Carolina. You got anything for that one?
I do. So I mentioned it in the preview show. I think that these are two of the best defenses in the SEC playing against each other right now. I think that South Carolina at home is kind of the right side of the line here if you want to play the line against the spread here. But I'm going to go with the under 53.5 points. I think it is a close game and one that South Carolina could win outright, but I'm more confident in the underplay here. Again, referencing both of these defenses, we saw what Ole Miss looked like against a legitimate defense last week in Kentucky. I think South Carolina plays a similar style of defense, and I think that South Carolina on offense is good enough to extend some drives to limit the possessions for Ole Miss. And then also, I mean, I think that they're going to get some punting opportunities for their offense to kind of flip the field. So give me Ole Miss at South Carolina under 53.5.
Yeah, I like that pick, and I really thought about taking it, and I've been burnt on the 2-for-1s too many times, and I've already got another bet in this game. So the 2-for-1 thing is when you're doing a betting show and you're trying to go over 500 and actually win money and not just talk about the games, you got to be careful with the 2-for-1s, because if you're wrong on one game, that means you're wrong on two bets. So just a little bit of betting advice for you guys: don't parlay yourself if you don't have to, especially when there's not some kind of bigger juiced return on it. So I typically try to stick to one bet a game. My thing is, whenever I looked at the over under on that, I feel like there's no room being accounted. Obviously, I don't think Vegas would account for this, but there's no room being accounted for like a pick six and I think there's going to be some kind of big play in this game, some kind of special teams touchdown, some kind of defensive touchdown, something like that. I feel like is going to pop up in this football game. And my thing is, I feel like South Carolina's offense is a tick better than Kentucky at this point. I mean, that's how I kind of feel about it. And Kentucky was able to score 20. So I'm thinking maybe South Carolina can score 24 or 27. You know what I'm saying? And then I think maybe Kentucky is a little bit better suited to contain Ole Miss. So anyway, with all that being said, I'm going to take Ole Miss, and I'm going to take the -9. I like the -9 specifically because it's under 10, right? The 10 I would
I
be
can get you
scared
an 8,
off.
by the way.
An 8?
Yeah, I got you an
Wow.
8.
All right. -8. I'll take that extra point. It makes me feel even better. Look, I mean, you run the risk, I think, of South Carolina playing a perfect game here. And by a perfect game, I don't mean the best game ever played by a college football team or something. I'm saying a perfect game for South Carolina's game plan in this game, which is a lot of what Kentucky just did last week. Be able to sustain drives, keep Ole Miss's offense off the field as much as possible, right? And South Carolina's got a really good defense, so I think they'll be able to, man up with this against this offense and be able to stop the run there. But I just feel like Ole Miss has got a little too much firepower in this one. And look, Kentucky got bailed out in that game all first half by Ole Miss penalties. I
Yeah.
mean, it sustained so many drives, and it gave Kentucky a lead going into halftime. I mean, it didn't. No one penalty gave them a touchdown necessarily, but it allowed them to go right down the field and bailed a really bad offense out. That is the opposite of what you want to do against a bad offense. Create, allow penalties that give them free first downs. And that's exactly what Ole Miss did last week. And they were hanging on for dear life onto those wide receivers. And I personally think that Kentucky's got some good wide receivers, specifically
Yeah.
Dane Key, Berrien Brown. I think those guys are really good. I don't see one of those on South Carolina's football team. I don't see a wide receiver like that is just like, oh, we have to hold on to this guy so he doesn't score a touchdown. I just don't really see that guy at this point. Now it's going to be my luck since I bet on this football game. Nick Harbor's about to go his ass off, right? He's going to finally come out of nowhere and just like make his stake as a serious SEC player. But no, I kid. I doubt that considering as idle as he's been. But like I said, that'd probably be my luck. All right, man. Let's keep it going. How about Tennessee at Arkansas? You got to play on that one?
I mean, you got to bet Tennessee at this point. Look, Arkansas has been really disappointing in close games so far this season. I think this one will be close at halftime, but Arkansas tends to fall apart in the second half. I think that's where they struggle. I really have Tennessee at like a touchdown at halftime. And then by the end of the game, I think that they win by about 20 points. So I found 13.5 out there, Tennessee over Arkansas, and I'm going to lay all those points and feel really good about it.
The only thing I worry about in this football game, and I mean literally the only thing I worry about, like Arkansas's problems have been self-induced, most of them. It hasn't typically been the other team forcing the issue. It's been Arkansas making turnovers, giving the football away. But if you actually go and look at some of the quarterbacks that Arkansas has played this year, it hasn't been a bunch of good ones. I mean, it's been backups. It's been, Bowman at Oklahoma State, and you could argue that Bowman had one of his best games against Arkansas. He's been terrible pretty much since. The only thing that scares me is if Arkansas just doesn't turn the ball over. What if they don't turn the ball over? But ifs, buts, candies, and nuts. Isn't that how the saying goes? Or something, something, something. Give me Tennessee minus 13.5, dude. Why is this line not moving? We watched this happen with the Oklahoma game. You know what I'm saying? And we called it perfect on the show. We said Tennessee's going to win this game by 10 or 14 points. That Oklahoma game. Why is the line not moving? Everybody's betting it. The line wouldn't move. The ticker's broken on Tennessee and Vegas. You can bet their minus line as much as you want, and it just doesn't move. I don't understand. Put me
They're a
on that
wagon,
train,
man.
dude. I'm gonna ride it. Tennessee's one of the best teams in college football. Do they have flaws? Yes. I don't think there's an excellent team in college football yet this season. You could argue Alabama, but I don't know. I think they got flaws too. Tennessee is one of the most well-rounded and best college football teams. I think they can go on the road here and win this by 2 touchdowns. Give me Tennessee minus 13.5. All right. The last big game that we talked about earlier this week on the Tuesday preview and prediction show. If you guys somehow missed that, please go back and check it out. We had some really good breakdowns this week. Had a great time talking with you guys. And if you're watching now, if you got a game that you're betting on, I'd love for you to put it in the comment section. I'd love to hear it. SMU at Louisville. Do you have a pick on that football game?
Yeah, I do. Excuse me. Look, I said in our preview that if this game got under a touchdown, then I'm taking it at under a touchdown. And it did. It somehow, the betting gods listened to us, and you can get Louisville at minus 6.5 right now. So I'm going to take Louisville at minus 6.5. I really like Brahms' offense, especially at home, coming off of a Notre Dame game that they really probably should have won if they don't turn the ball over 3 times. I'm laying the 6.5, and I think that Louisville kind of starts to make their name to the to the ACC world, to the college football casual fans. I think that a win over SMU maybe doesn't, for most fans, move the needle very much. But I think that this is where they start to assert their dominance in the ACC. Give me Louisville by about 10 or 14 points in this one.
I am with you on that one as well, brother. I said last week after that Notre Dame game, Louisville turns the ball over. They get the turnover bug there in the first quarter, claw their way back into that football game, and that, as Kirby Smart told his Georgia Bulldogs, Louisville was one moment short. And I really, if I could go back and do it again, I would bet Louisville again, because I can almost guarantee you that the comedy of errors that happened there in the first quarter, I don't think that would happen again. Notre Dame didn't play some kind of great game that just absolutely beat Louisville. Louisville beat themselves, and I think Louisville has a little bit of a strange confidence coming out of that game. You went on the road, you lost a game you shouldn't have lost, I think, as a team, and you think, okay, if we can do that, and we know we shouldn't have lost that football game, then I think we're gonna be able to be all right in the ACC, and I think Louisville is a good football team, and I like them to cover against SMU. I think this is a little bit of an overreaction for what SMU did last week against Florida State. SMU is not that. I don't think they have that great of a defense. I really don't. I think Louisville's going to be able to score some points in this football game, and I think that defense is one of the better ones that SMU has faced this season. All right, open it up, man. We can take whatever we want. I've got 3 more besides what we've already bet. So I've got 4 bets down. I've got 3 more, and then I've got a money line pick. So what you got?
I've still got 5 left, so I'm going to go with one of our Service Academy games, Navy at Air Force. Historically, this has been a game that's lower scoring, but if you've watched Navy's offense, this isn't like a triple option anymore. They're kind of like an air raid now, which is pretty crazy. But they're scoring some daggone points. They have not scored less than 38 points at all this season, and I think that they could get to 36.5 is a number I found. I think they can get to that on their own. Couple that with an Air Force defense that has allowed 31 points to Baylor and Wyoming, both teams that have lesser offenses than Navy, and I think that this covers easy. I know that it's trendy to take the Service Academy game under, but at 36.5, that's just too low for me. With again a Navy offense that has modernized itself and is now scoring some points, so I like the over 36.5. Do you have a play on that one?
I don't have any plays on that one, no.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to go ahead and give you my other Service Academy. Army is a bit of a wagon. They made our top 25 this week. Got to give them some credit there. They're 11.5-point favorites at Tulsa. Army's 4-0 this season and 4-0 against the spread this season. That is the definition of a wagon. Barring just a letdown game, which is certainly possible, this is the right side of this game. Army's a little bit underrated, I think, overall. Give me Army minus 11.5 at Tulsa.
That one, I wanted. I don't think Bet Now, which is allegedly who I use to bet on games. I don't know. That's what they say anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think that they've got the first quarter lines out, but I heard somebody took a -7 Army in the first quarter. And I think that's a really good play because
I know it
Army
was
has
minus.
come out really,
It was
really hot.
-3, I think.
Was it
It was
minus
Army
three?
minus
Oh, that's what it
3 in
was.
the
You're
first
right.
quarter.
It was
Yeah.
-3, and I feel like they can score a touchdown. I'm just getting my numbers mixed up in my head. I feel like Army can be up 7-0, at the end of the first quarter pretty easily. But
Or even
but
7-3,
three,
and you still get a cover with
yeah,
a 3-point. That could very easily happen.
Army's pretty good, and I didn't catch too much flack about it this week. I kind of threw the top 25 on my back this week because Mason was gone last week. So I kind of threw that sucker together, and I didn't just, willy nilly throw it together. I thought about it, believe me. But Army was one of those teams that was, you probably could have argued shouldn't have been in there, but I think they're pretty good, and I think they're a bit of a wagon, and I just don't think anybody's really talking about them yet. So I think first quarter is a really good play for Army as well. They've scored on their first drive of the game. I think pretty much every game this season.
Cool. Gotta throw that in there when I can for my what is it, the Black Knights.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Love that they're relevant in college football. Moving on to my next pick, Clemson at FSU. It's fun to bet against Florida State. It's kind of, if you're betting against Florida State, they're a wagon, right? This year, this is not the right time for Florida State to be breaking in a new quarterback. Not that I disagree with the decision, but this Clemson defense is stout. And I think that the offense for Clemson has started to find its rhythm under Garrett Riley. It seems like he's actually playing with his own cards finally. And I think that they're still getting better as the year goes on. I'm laying the points with the Tiger on the road. Give me Clemson at minus 14.5 over FSU at FSU.
I've got the same thing on that one. I think Clemson's just a lot better football team than Florida State right now. I mean, it's pretty simple. And I believe that Clemson, while all of their woes offensively are not completely taken care of, in my opinion, or at least there's still some question marks, about wide receiver and things. Bryant Wesco has come in and is a really young, bright, shining light on this offense. And, something at the wide receiver position is a lot better than nothing. And I think Clemson's got at least something there this season. They've got a decent little run game. Cade seems to not be. Look, I mean, Clemson would have won this football game last year against last year's Florida State team had Cade not got sacked and strip sacked and it returned for a touchdown. So, I mean, and we know how bad Clemson was last year and how good Florida State was last year. Clemson is way better than Florida State this season. So and so you said that they pulled DJU. I don't even keep up with Florida State news anymore. I mean, because
yeah,
I only keep up with relevant teams. As soon as a team gets irrelevant for the season, I'm putting a line through them. I'm not keeping up with their news after that. Because I mean, that's just one less I got to deal with. So you're saying DJU's not playing?
Yep, it's going to be Brock Glenn in this game, who we saw last year. After Jordan Travis goes down, didn't look great, but he was also a redshirt freshman last year. We'll see. I don't think he's the answer. I don't think he's going to necessarily win out for Florida State or anything like that. But man, he's going to be on skates this week. I can't wait to watch it. Actually,
against Georgia in the bowl game.
No, so I could be wrong here, but I want to say they played 3 quarterbacks last year. And
right,
I'm mixing up the second and third string.
Never trust a quarterback with 2 first names, right?
Yeah. Maybe he was the one who started against Georgia and they had someone else. He was the 3rd string last year, and they had someone else come in behind Travis, and he opted out of the bowl game and transferred out. which left Brock Glenn. I think maybe that's the right side of history on that one.
Yeah. Yeah. I just if Florida State had some kind of secret weapon at quarterback, they would have brought it out by now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's not worry about that too much. I'm with you on the Clemson minus 14.5 there. What else you got?
All right. Let's keep it in the ACC. Duke at Georgia Tech. So Duke, you may not know this, not you, Mark, but college football fans may not know this, but Duke's 5-0 right now. They're kind of one of the most under the radar undefeated teams in college football. I like the momentum that they have right now, winning in a comeback fashion against the favored Tar Heels last week on the road. I don't think that they win this game against Georgia Tech. I think Georgia Tech is just a little bit too strong right now, a little bit further in Brent Key's system, a little bit more developed. But I think 9 points is too many points. This is a one-score game. I think Duke keeps it close. So give me Duke at +9 at Georgia Tech.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of keeping it in the ACC. I don't have a bet on this, or at least I don't think I do. But I was interested what your thoughts were. Syracuse is traveling to UNLV this week, and UNLV is a 6.5 point favorite. Did you see that?
Yeah, yeah. Pretty
How
bizarre.
does that really make any sense considering didn't UNLV lose their quarterback? Didn't we just have this conversation that their quarterback
Well,
was gone?
their second string apparently looked better than the guy who left. He came out and he actually had better numbers. The starting quarterback for UNLV was not the reason they were winning these football games. It was really a strong defense and a solid running game. And then this other quarterback comes in, is more of a dual threat, and he adds another piece to this offense. But since you said you don't have a play on this game, I'll go ahead and give you my play on the game, and it's Syracuse on the money line. I really like what Syracuse is right now as a program. I think Kyle McCord looks way different than he did last year. He's more like a Kyle Toyota McCord right now, just a little bit better than the Honda. And I think that Syracuse at plus 195, I think that's a pretty solid money line pick. So give me that. I don't know that they necessarily win the game, but I think there's really good value there on the money line.
Well, that was my original money line pick as well, and that's exactly what my gut. That was one of the first things I wrote down for the week. So, you might be onto something there. Usually, my gut is right on that type of stuff. I didn't mean to sniff out your money line pick before
It's
we
all
got to the
good.
end of
While
the
we were
show.
there, I
So
might as well just drop it down.
you just started talking ACC ball, and it made me think about it. We'll keep it going with some ACC ball. How about that? Pitt at North Carolina. Pitt is a 2.5 point favorite. Give me them Pitt fellas, the Narduzzi's.
Yeah.
Look, North Carolina is really just a horrible football team. You know, I mean that it is. It just is what it is. I hate it. My dad knows the. I guess your dad kind of does too. The offensive coordinator there at North Carolina, Mr. Kitchens, and I guess they eat breakfast and drink coffee with his brother all the time. So we root for people from our the Grandpa's Coffee Shop up the road up there.
Yeah.
But North Carolina's just terrible. I mean, as soon as Max Johnson, which it wasn't good anyway, but as soon as Max Johnson went down with a broken leg, it was insult to injury. No pun intended there. So give me Pitt minus 2.5. I really like it at that 2.5. If it goes to 3, I just feel like that's like you're kind of asking for a push there. Is there some kind of like strange like motivation for North Carolina to play well after everything that's went on in North Carolina this week? I don't know. Maybe there's an opposite effect of everything that's going on, and all these. I mean, let's be real. A bunch of these kids on this team have family that have been trapped in these floods and on these mountains in North Carolina and all this stuff. I don't know how that affects the football game. I don't know if it does at all. Maybe that's silly, but this is college football, and these are 18 to 20, 1-year-old, 22-year-old kids. So anyway, with that being said, there is that is kind of a variable in it, but I like Pitt. They're just so much better, so much better of a football team and more well-rounded of a football team. So I'm going to jump on that Pitt train. They've already won me some money. They were one of my 3 money line picks that I've hit that I've won this year, and I'm going to take them again right here.
I like it. I definitely considered that pick. So I think you're on the right side of that one. Did you have another play?
I have got one more before my money line.
Go ahead.
All right, this one, guys, I'm the least confident in, but look. This is kind of like a 2-week thing that's been going on for me here, and kind of like a thought that maybe I'm just dead wrong on, and I'm barking up the wrong tree. But I'm as stubborn as a mule sometimes with these things. And last week I had bet Michigan State plus the points against Ohio State. Now, I didn't really know what Ohio State was at the time. I mean, we've got these preconceived notions of them and how good they are, and I think that they're really, really good. And I was wrong for picking Michigan State. It was a loss for me. And I believe the line last week was right around what it is this week, as Michigan State will be traveling to Eugene, Oregon. I think I just picked the wrong week. I think I just picked this Michigan State team against the wrong team here, because Michigan State has been pretty decent defensively this season. They've been pretty good against the run. And foolish of me to pick them against Ohio State, who I know is one of the best rushing teams in the country, even though they haven't played anyone. I still know that. And Ohio State was able to run for about 180 yards on this Michigan State team last week. Oregon does not have the ability to run the football like Ohio State does. And I think that's going to be a little bit of a clog in the system for Oregon. We've seen Oregon sputter at times this season. There's a reason for that. This isn't just a coincidence that it happened, that it just so happened to happen a couple times. I think that Michigan State is able to hang in there, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Oregon win this one 34-17. But guess what? That's a cover. Now, can Michigan State score 17? One could argue, but you get my point. I think Michigan State can stop the run and cause Oregon to have trouble moving the chains at times. Give me Michigan State plus 23.5.
Yeah. I like it. I think that's the right side of this. My concern with that game is, Oregon's got Ohio State next week, which you could look at that and say, oh, it's a look-ahead game. But then I also feel like Dan Lanning is going to want to create some juice, create some momentum heading, with Ohio State coming to them in Eugene. I'm kind of curious what his approach is in that game. If he's going to be super aggressive, or if he's going to kind of want to rest the team and just win the football game. The latter actually sounds like it could be more true, honestly. So, like I said, I think it's the right side of this. I still don't know about Oregon. I feel like they're a team that's not played their best ball yet, and I'm curious to see what they do in this football game and moving forward, if they're the juggernaut that everybody thought they would be, and an actual national championship contender that we think they are. Moving on to my last play of the week. This is about as sick as I want to get in any football game, but App State at Marshall. The Herd is 4-0 against the spread this season, and they get the Mountaineers at home. App State coming off of an embarrassing loss to South Alabama. They got absolutely blown out, and I think that this App State program is reeling. So I like Marshall to cover. It's a 3-point spread. That's not enough points. I think the Herd is going to cover here. Get your barf bags. That's as sick as I can get. I mean, that's, I don't know much. I don't spend weekends watching Marshall and App State football, but I know a good bet when I see one, and I'm pretty sure that's a good bet.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Money line time.
Let's do it.
All right. On the money line, I got Michigan going to Washington. We just saw Rutgers be able to beat Washington last week. They did it by 3. Won me some money. Won you some money if you've been following the show. Michigan is a dog here on the road, and I get the travels and I get all that stuff. It's going to be a 7:30 p.m. game, though. It's not going to be. It's going to feel, I guess, a lot later to the Michigan guys there. But look, Michigan is very physical, and I think that you can kind of rattle the cage of Washington by being physical. And um, I've been betting against this Michigan team all year, and in this situation with them being a dog here, I just don't think Washington's going to be physical enough at the point of attack to be able to take care of Michigan in this one. Um, I don't know what the over under is in this one. I would look at that as well because under seems like a
It's
certain possibility.
41. It's pretty low.
Yeah, it's very low. I mean, I would still probably take it because
Yeah.
Michigan doesn't believe in the forward pass anymore, and Washington, while they would love to throw it forward, and they do, they can't get it in the end zone. So I don't, you know, they've got Washington has got the backup quarterback, or excuse me, the quarterback that was at Mississippi State last year, Will Rogers, and the problem with Will Rogers is he's good in between the 20s because you don't have to rifle any kind of throws in there. He has a really weak arm. And when you get into the red zone, those holes get smaller, the defense gets tighter, and it's not going to be easy for him against this Michigan defense who prides themselves on defensive line and secondary this year. It's going to be really tough for him to squeeze those balls in there into the end zone. And you know, it's nothing he can do about it. It's not something he can watch on film. His arm's just not strong enough, man. And that's
Yeah.
it's been that way for a long time now.
Yeah, the only concern, I know you're not picking the under there, but my only concern would be Will Johnson getting his third pick six of the season. Like,
Yeah.
that's going to throw that would throw that under
Mhm.
out the door. I mean, you're just with a defensive score like that, it's just not going to happen. And Will Rogers has had his fair share of picks, so it could definitely happen.
Yep.
I'm actually with you on that pick. I got 5 money line picks this week.
Wow.
I've kind of taken a different approach to the money line. And one thing, we don't include this in our record. We don't include our money lines in our record anyways. But when you're betting on money lines, you're looking for value. So I'm really looking for value this week in my money line picks. So I've already got Syracuse over UNLV at plus 195. Give me Wake Forest over NC State at plus 165. I think that Wake Forest is kind of figuring some things out, but more so, I think that NC State is just bad. I think we just completely missed as a college football community on NC State. I think they're a pretty bad program. The wrong team is favored here. I'm not even sure what the line is, but regardless, I think that Wake Forest is going to be able to win this football game. They're kind of getting some
1 or 1.5. I can't remember.
Okay. But Wake's kind of getting some explosive plays now. I think that the NC State defense is just a farce, and I feel like Wake Forest is going to be able to win this one. 2 more to go. I got Florida over UCF. We saw UCF look really bad last week against Colorado. I think Florida just really needs this one. They have a little bit of momentum on the offensive side of the football. I feel like this is one Florida's going to be able to win here. And then for my last pick, give me Texas Tech over Arizona. Arizona coming off of a big emotional win over Utah. I think that they come in a little bit unprepared, a little bit overzealous in this football game. And then, not to mention, Baron Morton is playing lights out. I think he's got 14 touchdowns on the year so far. And couple that with a slightly better defense for Texas Tech than Arizona has. And I think that Texas Tech can win this one. And that's a plus 200. So you're moving up 2 units with that one. Give me the value there in that pick with Texas Tech.
I like that, and I think that's going to be kind of an underrated football game. I think nobody's going to watch it, but I guess you will now. But
Got a reason to.
I think it's going to be a decent little football game. All right, guys. That's it. That's the best bets of the week. There you have it. We're going to meet back here next Thursday to do this again, but we'll be live on Saturday night for our overreaction show. We're ready to overreact to all of the college football that we're about to see this weekend. I got a feeling it's going to be a little bit of a crazy weekend. Hopefully, our bets can hang in there. Hopefully, the craziness stays away from the games that we bet on. And I wish all of you the best of luck this weekend if you're getting in the betting window. And best of luck to all your favorite teams out there. Report back for the overreaction show Saturday night. Then Sunday night, we'll have our early previews for week 7 matchups and Tuesday previews and predictions as always. So we'll be ready to load up the rifle and shoot again. Guys, thank you so much for joining us here on the First and Long College Football Show. I'm Marcus. That's Mason. Y'all have a good night.